This is the Wise Guy Radio Show, a podcast dedicated to educating and inspiring through conversations with today's top talents in the world of glass. How's it going? Welcome to episode 2 of The Glassblower's Companion. This is your host, Jason Michael. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Today is going to be a fun episode. It features glass artist John Boley, also known as Shaggy. He was the Season 2 Masters Final Champ for the Tournament of Fire that our friends up at Cherry Glass put on this last year. So basically they had 3 rounds consisting of a winner from each round, and then each one of those winners all came together and competed in a week-long competition, which ended at the end of March of this year. And he was the grand finals winner and made an amazing piece. Definitely check out the Instagram post for this page. It has a kind of a step-by-step showing you the process on how he comes together and makes these pieces, these clusters that he creates. It's just fantastic work. He's a fun interview. It was coming from a perspective of an artist myself. I appreciated this chat with him. He has a wide variety of mediums that he works with, and glass just happens to be one of them, and his approach is quite, I guess, the opposite in terms of the philosophy of how I approach things or how I teach it, in a sense, which you'll hear in this interview. A lot of, for me, I like to plan things out and have a kind of a sketch or a plan of attack, where he's more free-flowing and just kind of goes into the piece, and whatever it's going to turn into, it speaks to him, and eventually certain things become a style or a voice that he has. And then he'll make like 5 or 6 or 10 and then goes on to the next thing and evolves his work constantly. And his koi fish that he makes are incredible as a sculpture. Just the functional aspect of his work is just very unique as an artist and as a glass artist. He's also a musician. A lot of things that he gets into and shares in this interview, which I thought was a lot of fun. And the reason that this episode is named what it is he was telling me, which you'll hear in the interview, that he has been referred to as the Michael Phelps of the glass, of the pipe world, because of the competitions, and that's kind of been his thing over the last few years, is really focusing on the competitions that are in like champs and the different glass games that go on throughout the trade shows. He has, I believe it was 17 medals he's won at champs, and total around 26. So you'll see in his post as well, I've got a picture of him that he has on his Instagram, which his Instagram is Glass Art by Shaggy. I'll have that link in there as well. Definitely check out his work. Super amazing stuff. I remember seeing him years and years and years and years ago. And then once Torch Talk started going on, and he was spent about 3 months on one of his clusters pieces, just kind of showing the whole community on the Facebook page over at Torch Talk. His process of him putting this whole thing together, just completely mind-blowing. It was amazing to see it. And these kind of pieces, where there's like multiple sections with no room to breathe or for things to go wrong, gives me a shit ton of anxiety just looking at the stuff, because I understand what goes into it. So I hope you appreciate this interview and this chat, and also the glass that I'll be having available for you to see on his Instagram, or on our Instagram post, and you can also go then check out all his other work that he's got going on, because it is quite remarkable. Also, before I forget, for the ladies out there listening to this, and if you know any lady glass artists, let them know that the Flow is looking for submissions. The final submission date is September 1st, 2019, for the 15th annual Women in Glass edition. The glass gallery entries and tutorials are also welcomed from the ladies. And it's going to be pretty amazing. It's a lot of fun. There's a link in the show notes. You can forward them if you want to get that out, or if you're listening to this yourself and you want to enter this, use the link in there as well. They just ask that you email them 3 to 5 high-resolution digital images that are at least 300 dpi of your glass art, along with a completed submission form, which, again, that link is in the show notes for you. And definitely check out them. And they have lots of other issues on their website that are digital copies as well. If you subscribe to their magazine, their annual, or not annual, their quarterly, that you can get back issues and all kind of stuff. And you can also save 10% if you use the coupon code WISEGUY, WYZGUY, at checkout. If you're a new subscriber to the Flow magazine, highly recommend it. They also have a bunch of webinars and tutorials and things going on their website, so just go to theflowmagazine.com for all the other information. But in the meantime, you can just click on the show notes and the link and where it says details under the podcast post, whichever podcast you're listening to, or podcast host, and then from there just use that link for the show, the link for the submission form, and hook yourself up with that for sure. And another thing that is fresh in the glass world is the recent competition on Netflix called Blown Away. If you're not familiar with it, Blown Away is a 10-episode series featuring 10 artists, and they were all whittled down one episode at a time until there was a final champion. According to Corning, which is cmog.org, Blown Away is the first ever TV competition series featuring the art of glass blowing and is poised to reach millions worldwide via Netflix. The show follows a group of 10 highly skilled glass masters from North America who fabricate beautiful works of art that are assessed by a panel of expert judges. The Corning Museum of Glass was involved from concept to reality and even provided the coveted winning prize, the new Blown Away residency at the museum. Located in the amphitheater hot shop, Blown Away, Glass Blowing Comes to Netflix, tells a story of how the museum found its way into the global spotlight. Watch a behind-the-scenes documentary with interviews conducted on the set and footage captured of the museum's hot glass demo team taking part in the finale. Learn more about the creative challenges the artists faced each week and see one final product from each competitor. Blown Away launched on Netflix on July 12th. Blown Away champion this year was Deb Zaresko. She was the final artist, and I will give you my opinion about this whole thing here in a second. What I want to tell you, too, was that if you're up in New York around the Corning area, you can actually see Deborah work there in their studio for a bit while she gets warmed up for her actual residency. But she'll be there August 28th and 29th, 2019, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Again, the Corning website, which I'll put the link in the show notes, says, see the winner of Blown Away work live at the museum. From Netflix to the Amphitheater Hot Shop, the winner will bring their talents to Corning for exciting glassmaking demonstrations, assisted and narrated by our hot glass team. Friendly for the whole family, these summer working sessions will prepare the winner to return to the museum October 14th through the 18th for the Blown Away residency. These demonstrations are included in the cost of admission. Kids and teens 17 and under are free, while in the Amphitheater Hot Shop, visitors can check out the display Blown Away, Glass Blowing Comes to Netflix, which tells the story of how the museum found its way into the global spotlight. I just said that a bit ago. Blown Away, the first ever TV competition series, features the art, blah, 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 blah. So, again, congratulations to Deb Zaresko. So here is my opinion. I was not a fan of the show. On one side, what I did like about this show is that it is exposing the glass world to a mass audience. There are millions of people that watch Netflix, and I have had dozens upon dozens of guests at the Mouse House talk and ask if I've seen this the show yet. And at first I hadn't seen it. I was just because of my timing. I don't have a whole lot of TV time. Usually my timing's at night when I get off work. I get off late. I'm home around midnight after being at work for 12 hours, 13 hours. And so I don't really have the time to mentally dedicate to something like that. So I finally took the time away to dedicate to it, and did watch it almost all the way through. I didn't see the finale yet, which I'm going to admit that right now, but I know who won, so it's whatever. But again, I think the positive side of this is that it really exposed the hot shop, at least glass world, to the public and to a broader demographic of people worldwide that may have never ever seen anything like this ever. I have a lot of guests at work that are like, hey, we saw this on Instagram or on YouTube or whatever. When they come into the hot shop at Magic Kingdom, they really get a chance to see us do our thing. I tell them, no, you get to smell and smells and feel the feels and blah, blah, blah. So on the other end, though, I felt that these episodes were way too short for one. They were about 25 minutes long. I know it takes forever to produce an episode because of what I do here behind the scenes at Wise Guy Media and these podcasting and YouTubing stuff. But I also felt like the artists, I know glass is difficult enough as it is, but I would like to have seen something there where they would like throw a monkey wrench in. There was that one show called Cutthroat Kitchen that Alton Brown hosted, and I loved it because they would give these chefs that were top-class world chefs or world-class top chefs. I think that's how you say it properly. But they would give them some crazy shit to put together to create a meal with. Or they would say, hey, you need to blend up this food, but you need to blend it using the power from this stationary bicycle. You know, I'm not really sure how you could do it in glass blowing in the terms of hot shops things, just for safety issues for one. But overall, I thought the aesthetic of what was being created was wonderful. I just wish they would have shown a little bit more of the creation process. I know when at first you have 10 artists, it's hard to highlight each individual person. And then as the show goes on, you can kind of continue to highlight things. I think the reveal, those that saw the reveal and the way that they showed things was wonderful. The setup was pretty cool. I wasn't a fan of the judge herself. I thought she was very biased in a sense. And some of the other guests that they brought on were, whatever. But again, I think the most positive aspect of this is that there is now a glass blowing competition that is now being broadcasted on Netflix. We've had Degenerate Art that Slinger did on Netflix for a bit years ago. And with the Tournament of Fire doing their stuff on Instagram, that's kind of like the next phase for the pipe community, is to take this glass blowing competition that we do, like say at a trade show, and then go from the social media platform where Cherry Glass has it and then grow it into the next step, which is like the Hulus or the Netflixes or what have you. So we'll see what happens. I'm curious to see if they're going to pick this up for a second season. I think the winning aspect of this is pretty cool, that the artist gets a chance to get a residency at Corning, which basically is, in a sense for them, I would assume is like a free-for-all chance to use some of the best top technology-wise studio space in the fucking world to create your artwork with in front of a small audience, which is pretty cool. So if you have not yet checked this show out, I definitely recommend it to check it out. It's great to have on in the studio. The 10 episodes, again, they're about 25 minutes long-ish, and you could literally binge all 10 episodes in a day if you're having a long day in the shop, or break them up into 5 episodes over 2 days, or whatever. But I definitely recommend the show. However, when you watch it, I definitely would like your opinion on some things. So you can give me your opinion, if you'd like, on our Instagram post on this, which will be at a Glassblower's Companion. Our Instagram was wiseguy_media forever, and just now, because of the changing of the branding of the show, we now have the Glassblower's Companion. And eventually, I'm going to have a Wise Guy Media specific page that's going to showcase all the things going on under the umbrella of Wise Guy Media. Now that we can post two accounts at a time on Instagram, it'll make it easier to be able to post on, say, like the Glassblower's Companion page, and then share that same post on the Wise Guy Media Instagram page. But the Wise Guy Media page will cover anything and everything, and then we'll have our individual Instagram pages for the specific shows that we're doing. Also, I'm not sure if I've announced this yet, but I started another podcast 2 months ago with my fiance, and her and I started a podcast. It's called FEI Disney. If you're a fan of Disney and you want like an adult perspective, because we have this show is basically unfiltered. We cover things from the past. We do a This Day in Disney, which is actually This Week in Disney, and then we do another segment called To Infinity and Beyond, where we're covering current and future projects going on in parks all over the world through Disney, whether it's film, rides, food, merchandise, you name it. And then each episode, we're also showcasing something specific. Last episode, we showcased Splash Mountain, being the 30th anniversary of it. And this next episode, we're recording this Sunday, is going to be on the 50th anniversary of the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. The 30th anniversary was also Splash Mountain at Disneyland. And so it's been exciting. We've had a lot of fun doing this show. When her and I first got together, or something like we both at the same time said to each other over the phone, like, hey, we should start an adult-themed, no filters, Disney kind of related podcast. I know a lot of you that listen to the show know what I do for a living and know where I work, know that I love what I do, and also I'm a big Disney nerd, so it was just kind of a natural next phase in my world of podcasting. That I have this show, and it's fun having a co-host. It's actually something I've considered with this show, is to having a co-host, but I have guests on. They're kind of my co-host in a sense, So anyways, yeah, I'll have a link for that in the show notes, or you can just search F Yeah Disney for Fuck Yeah Disney. All right, get her done. And I think that's about it for now. It's just still the same things going on behind the scenes. Just working, gonna get a little studio time in tonight. Oh yeah, what I will say, I can't believe I forgot this. Last week we had artist in from Murano, Roberto Beltrami. Had a fantastic fucking time with this dude. Right now, or he's been the youngest maestro in Italy. But I posted some stuff on my personal Instagram the other day, my J. Michael Glass page. But basically, we pushed the hot shop at Magic Kingdom to its limits. Everything and anything, we pushed the space. We had at any point in time, there was anywhere from 2 assistants and Roberto, or 3 assistants and Roberto. And we made a bunch of it's the biggest stuff I have personally ever had on the end of a pipe and putting into the glory hole and getting reheated and moving around. And with that being said, I re-injured my lower back. I had really bad, I don't know if it was a lower back strain or a pulled muscle or just really bad tension and tightness in my lower back about 3 months ago, which I talked about on the show, and re-aggravated it again last Friday, making this gigantic dragon on a rock. So I've been dealing with that now for, that Saturday morning I got up, couldn't hardly walk, got to work, did my thing, and now here it is, almost a week. Today I'm recording this is a week from the injury. So I've been powering through it. I fortunately had 2 days off where I was able to rest a bit. I got a massage like the day after I really felt like I needed something done. Day 2 was Monday, which sucked because after the massage, it fucking killed me. And then I was dealing with all the pain and tension and tightness. I would get a cramp in my big toe that would lead to my calf, that would then lead to my quads and my hamstrings, that would go up to my hip flexor and then my lower back. So like my whole left side was just like this fucking mad knot, crazy tension, felt like shit. And so I've been stretching, been taking it easy, but still working. Did a hot shop day the other day, did about 6 hours in the studio. Real light stuff, small ornaments every once in a blue moon. Did some torch work, and I'm going back out tonight for some more torch work out in the shop. But that being said, just make sure you take care of yourself. I think a lot of it had to do with being dehydrated, for one, because we were sweating our ass off. But also just proper body mechanics would have been ideal in some of these situations where we're yanking a blowpipe off a bench that's got like 20 pounds of glass on the end of it, like literally. So it's my fault in a sense because of bad body mechanics. However, it's still me just saying, hey, just make sure you're taking care of yourself, your lower back especially, just your back in general, but all of you really, but your back is important for your core so you can stand up and work or sit down and work. So take breaks, don't push yourself too much, and stay hydrated. Also, one last thing was I had a chance last night to go to Galaxy's Edge at at Hollywood Studios here at Disney for a cast preview. And because I'm not actually employed by Disney, I don't have all the privileges that a normal Disney cast member gets. I don't have access to what they call the hub, which is where they can go on this website that Disney runs, that they can do all this sign up for all kind of fun things and blah, blah, blah. But for this time around, Disney came to the operating participants, which is the company, that type of company I work for. And those of us that work in the theme parks were given a 4-hour opportunity to go into and have a reservation at Galaxy's Edge and go to Batuu and the Black Spire Outposts, which I went yesterday with my daughter. And I'm still, it's, the second day of going, and having grown up in the Star Wars lore and being a super huge Star Wars nerd and loving it, and I didn't expect to ever go this 2019 because of the crowds and my tickets that I get in the parks with are blacked out all the way through the rest of the year probably. Not to mention probably the first part of next year. So to have the opportunity to go yesterday was fucking incredible. I posted some pictures up last night on my personal Instagram. Again, it's J. Michael Glass. I'll have that link in the show notes for you too. But just an incredible time. I know Disney wanted the cast to get in there first to kind of run through the process and get the cast members that are in the space to go through their processes of things. Got to fly the Falcon, got to pilot the Falcon, and then rode in the back as an engineer as well. And my daughter was my co-pilot. She got to put us in light speed. It was just it was just incredible. It's just still processing everything. It was so surreal to be in that space and actually see things in a cinematic world or in books or in comics or playing in my imagination as a kid with my toys, to actually walk into a space and feel like you're literally in this real space. It was just fantastic. So anybody who's a big Disney nerd, definitely get out to Walt Disney World or Disneyland for that matter and go see Galaxy's Edge. Right now, just the Millennium Falcon ride's open. They have the Rise of the Resistance ride is coming to Disney World at the end of the year in December, and then it'll be opened up in California, Disneyland, I believe January, at some point, first part of January, which is going to be the most incredible ride ever experienced at any theme park ever in the world, from what I understand. So stay tuned for that. I'll probably have some reviews about that next year when I get a chance to go on it. So enough of my rambling here. I'm going to let you go get into this episode with Shaggy. You can go again find him on Instagram at Glass Art by Shaggy. He is the Season 2 Masters Final Champion, sponsored by Herbal Legend. And we'll be having Herbal Legend on the show as well as the sponsor and the winner of the Tournament of Fire. Get to come on the show and chit-chat and share their journeys. So I hope you enjoy this conversation. Again, if you can do us a huge favor and leave us a review, whether it's a written review or a star review, if you have an iPhone and you use Apple Podcasts, please do that. It definitely helps the show. It's one free way for you to help support this podcast. Just helps to show the world out there and the algorithms of iTunes and what have you that the show is being listened to. Helps to put it up in the ranks and expose it more, whatever blah, blah, blah fucking bullshit that the algorithms do. We all know we're dealing with it with Instagram right now. But if you'd like to financially help support this show, which this show does cost me a lot of money to run and manage and do its things, I have our Patreon page, which as of this coming week, I'm going to be in this in Patreon every single day, posting something, whether I'm going to be doing live streams, all kind of fun stuff coming up. So for as little as just $1 a month, you'll have access to the live streams. You also get a small little sticker pack and a thank you for me for becoming a part of the Patreon group, which I'm calling my Wise Asses. And we still have our small group in there. It's a small private community, so any kind of questions, comments, there's tutorials in there for things I'm not sharing anywhere else, including on my YouTube channel. For $10 a month, you have full access to everything and anything in this. And we have a new level coming up here we're going to be offering, which is going to then evolve into our Wise Guy Institute, which we're still working on little by little. We're all super busy behind the scenes, but my team I have around me is helping me get shit done and keep things on track. And super stoked about that. So also patreon.com/Wise Guy Radio. Links in the show notes for that. I'm going to start posting more shit about that on Instagram because I want to grow this community. For $12 a year, you can have access to me, have access to our community, and have access to some live streaming where I'll be doing live streams from work, showing some different tutorials and stuff there. All kind of fun stuff. I got a lot of things planned, and it's all happening starting this week. So until next time, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of A Glass Blower's Companion. Don't forget to thank our sponsors, Mountain Glass and The Flow Magazine. And until next time, we'll talk to y'all soon. Love you so much. Peace. What's going on, Shaggy? Welcome to the show, bro.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, man. Good to have you on here. We've been playing phone tag and had some technical issues on my end, which actually kept a lot of interviews from happening a couple months back. But been wanting to talk to you for a while. I've been following your work for a long time. Just the evolution that you've gone through over like the last decade, pretty much, that I've seen your work out there, and mainly brought you on originally because you were the Grand Masters champion for the Tournament of Fire that happened this year. And you've also have a pretty extensive lists of the competitions that you've been involved in. And it's in terms of like the glass world, I see some people that compete, but I haven't really ever seen anybody that consistently competes in competitions. So I definitely am interested to talk to you about that because I find that space, that specific niche within our community is fascinating. It's I'm very competitive myself, usually with myself personally, but just the idea to go out there and take your skills and your knowledge and then put it out there to actually physically compete in the competition, I think is pretty rad, and you've been very successful at that. So definitely want to.
Yeah, I kind of randomly just decided to make it something that people to do for the future to show what people can do. Mm-hmm. If there's other things to do with your glass art and to promote yourself as an artist. And just and also on for like building sponsorships and all these different things like that you can get from competitions more so than just the winning.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I definitely want to talk about that a little bit later on for sure because it's definitely, I think it's fascinating. It's like being like a BMXer or whatever, that kind of idea. But before we get off the rails here too much, I'd like to get started as always. If you could give us a kind of a background on how you started and your superhero origin story, per se.
Right. Somewhere around like 26 years ago, I think when I was in 10th grade, I had a art teacher that brought 104 rods in and hothead torches and stuff, and was showing everyone how to do beads, soft glass lamp working.
Nice.
And I just happened to be able to do it right away. And some of the class people in the class wanted to do pottery instead of that, and so she had me basically be teacher's assistant and show everybody what to do, just how to get it started. So that was kind of interesting. My first day of glass blowing, I was also teaching.
Was it something that like that at that age that you just felt natural for you?
Yeah, well, that I was already, even in 10th grade, I was already on a major focus of art, and that's just what I'm going to do, and that's what I did a lot of.
Okay.
Yeah, it just was all pretty easy for me to do right away, and I was interested in it right away.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I know because I know that early on as a child, like my entire life, I always wanted to be a professional artist of some caliber. But glass was never a thought really at that age. But to be
since like 7, I think I've been that same way, just like you. Of like that's all I've wanted to do.
Yeah, it's
pretty.
And
I did get to see like when I was young in that age, I was also seeing like carnival style lamp worked glass. And I was always very intrigued by it and into it, even from since I was around like 5.
Heck yeah. And I'm in the same boat. I remember going to Busch Gardens. Like some of my first glass memories was going to Busch Gardens and watching some guy make a giraffe. And I think I was maybe like 6 or 7 years old. But even at that point in time in my life, it was kind of like, I love playing with fire and blah, 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 but never really, thought of that as a way to go until I saw an artist at the Renaissance Festival making a living. And I was like, well,
I remember there was a lamp worker that was a carnival worker doing clowns and dragons and animals and all that had a small like kiosk set up in a mall around where I was when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And so I would, whenever my parents would want to go to the mall and I'd notice that every time.
Huh.
To where I even bought my sister like some Christmas gifts from it, from that place. Went all way back when I was that young.
Right. Did you ever imagine at that point that eventually you'd just be able to make the fucking things?
No.
It's crazy, right?
But that's like I've been like, and I always used to be interested in like the colorful bowls and glasses, soft glass furnace work, but not as much as the lamp work.
Yeah.
And I remember vividly, like from as far back as I can remember, I've been intrigued by lampwork glass.
Heck yeah! So I guess fast forward a bit. At what point in time did you really start to create that as your focus in your world of art?
Well, I did the soft for a little while, and then I took a break, and I was doing more of playing music, doing stage shows and stuff like that.
Okay.
And different festivals and concerts, but then around 95 or 96, I started hanging out with people who were blowing glass, and then being in Eugene, hanging out with all the originators of everything.
Yeah.
And around like 97, randomly decided just to start blowing glass after I'd already moved down here to Southern Oregon.
Nice. What were some of the first things that you were doing in terms of that kind of glass?
Maybe when I first started, it was like latticino inside out work, doing like spoons and like in large chillums and stuff mostly. But within like 2 weeks, I was doing I did a large bubbler with dichro inside out with planets and comets flying all around it and stuff.
Wild.
And I kind of like within 4 days, I had a perfect inside out spoon. Like it's somehow like partially, I guess, because of my knowledge with the 104, which I had totally forgotten about at that point. It was sort of I had taken enough time off to where I didn't remember everything, and plus it's a totally different process, really.
Yeah.
Working on a stainless rod with a bead release, and then vermiculite in a crock pot.
Right.
That's all you need besides a regular propane torch. Um, so like there's a whole lot more going into it, and I really only worked at this little shop in the country here with some other friends for a couple of months, and then I moved to Florida for about 3 years.
Okay.
So basically, they showed me a couple things, but I'd already watched Snodgrass blow glass, and another friend a whole lot, and Ezra, and I had watched other people blowing glass from when I was spending time in Eugene.
Nice.
And some of them were trying to get me to blow glass as well, but I was doing other forms of art and just happy where I was. But these friends of mine down here in Southern Oregon basically just showed me how to set up a studio and where I could get stuff. And then, like whatever, I watched someone make a spoon because it was something I hadn't watched through the other people I had watched. And then that's pretty much the only instruction I got.
Heck yeah. But it's I think when I teach classes, I always require my students to watch for a minimum of 3 hours, just to see the process. And you can kind of like start painting this picture in your head if you have an understanding of it. And I think with your previous,
Right.
Knowledge in a sense, because like I get, kids at work all the time are asking me like, how, is it easy what I'm doing? And I, have to go into this explanation, but I always refer back to like, it's like riding a bike.
Yeah.
I haven't ridden a bike in probably 3 or 4 years. Every once in a
You're
while,
still
get
going
on
to
it.
be able to.
Yeah, exactly. It might take me a second. I feel awkward at 43 years old riding a bike, but you can still, kind of get the muscle memory going again. And it's fucking awesome how the brain works that way. It's like something you haven't done for 10 years, and all of a sudden, boom, it's like, oh yeah. So
Yeah, I've taken multiple. I've taken a long amount of time off of like playing guitar, and then randomly pick up someone's guitar, and I'm immediately playing one of my songs,
yeah.
which hasn't been in the memory banks for a long time, but all of a sudden is there. And our brains are pretty powerful little organs.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly. So that being said, man, so you're one of many artists I've talked to that do glass that also play music, which I find fascinating because I think it goes along the same thing of like a discipline in a sense, and like having a focus and understanding the difference between, which I just did a recent short episode on, like deliberate practice versus just running through the process, basically.
Yeah.
So back when you were playing guitar, like were you practicing your scales and getting that kind of shit down, or were you more?
No, I would just sit down with a guitar and just like write a song on the spot type of thing. And I wouldn't even be able to tell you what note I was playing at the time I was playing it.
Right.
I just played, which was interesting. And I even played with bands in that way. But a lot of my music, I used to do percussion and play West Africa percussion and play didgeridoo for a few bands. I played bass on stage, and I guess it's the same way with glass blowing for me. I just blow glass.
Right.
Which is, maybe some of the reason I get away with some of the things I do is because I don't overthink it.
Oh, dude, I understand completely, because when you go into something like that and there's like just this free will and kind of a bit of ignorance mixed in with it, it's amazing how successful and the shit you can get away with. Because like with just the amount of colors we have to play with right now, there are certain things that you can't get away with, even if you are just in that moment, But for us guys that have been doing this, for a long fucking time, back then, when you got that flow state going, it was just a fun, creative time when you'd have this piece out of your kiln the next day with really no issues.
Yeah, that's how I learned to blow glass, was by myself in my studio in Florida and just blowing glass.
Yeah.
Not thinking about it, just blowing glass. And then I would come across, because I've completely removed myself from the glass industry to where I wasn't really seeing anything anybody else was doing or how they were doing it or anything. And I was just coming up with everything on my own by just doing it, which is interesting that there's some things in life, not a lot, but there's some things in life to where just by doing it, you'll learn everything you need to know.
Yeah, I completely agree, because that's another thing I was going to say a second ago, too. I get people ask me all the time, like, how'd you learn this stuff? And I say all the time, you got it just by doing it, trial and error. Because like myself, I'm the same way as a musician. I could pick up just about any instrument and play it, and then also play along with a group of people. And, I think a lot of us that are in glass, we all have this kind of innate rhythm that we have that you can get yourself into any scenario where there's something that rhythm is required, whether you're an expert at it or not, and kind of feel it out, Like I can't really paint on a canvas too much just because I never know when to stop. But in terms of like art or music or something, I've always just noticed that with myself. Or mowing the fucking grass, I get in a rhythm and just get her done.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, there's a large connection with skateboarding and glass blowers as
Yeah,
well.
exactly, absolutely.
Large, and it's the same thing of the like dedication to learning how to do a certain trick, or and the solo part of it is very similar in the mindset that is used for lamp working.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think personally, one of the biggest things I've taken out of glass is just the mindset of perseverance and being determined. Because I'm super impatient when it comes to myself personally, but like my determination gets me past those barriers of frustration to when you break through that wall. It's like, it's pretty amazing on the other side. Whether you're just starting off as a glass artist or not, like you're saying, you saw a spoon demo, and next thing you know, you're making these crazy fucking bubblers.
Yeah.
So just to back up to that point too, when back to the bubbler story, once you got past that, were you at a point where you're now trying to sell your work, or were you already doing that already before that? I
was selling my work within right as soon as I started making it.
Cool.
Yeah, but I'd always been like selling my art in all different forms, from painting to I kind of was one of the first of the like modern wire wrap community, like helped found that back in the day. And like I had already been selling my art for a long time at that point. So it was pretty simple and maybe a little bit different for me when it comes to one of my first pieces, first work of glass. I was already an artist salesperson at the time.
Right, which helps out.
So a lot of people are starting blowing glass, but they don't understand either art or the sales or promotional side of everything, or they understand maybe 2 out of the 4 or 5 things that you really know to actually be a successful artist, self-employed artist that sells their work.
Yeah, dude, agree 100%, man. And that was like the main premise for this podcast initially getting started, was to kind of cover like the 5 areas of business that you can't just be a glass blower. You got to sell this shit,
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Most businesses have like whatever 10 employees to do what a glassblower does. Because like I'm the manufacturer, marketer, accountant, shipping department, sales head, everything. Public face, everything all in one. And that's what you kind of have to be. If you want to do this as an actual living, and there's not many people think of all of that right away. And definitely most people miss 1 or 2 points of it, and then they are kind of stuck in a zone for a bit until they're able to figure things out.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it goes along with the trial and error of things.
Yeah.
Trying to figure that shit out. But also not being afraid to be told no, because you'll be told no a ton, especially when it comes to trying to sell glass. Even back then, shit, people see that stuff and they're like, why do I want to buy crack pipes for, And they have to go into this whole fucking story about shit, just to sell a pipe.
I'm still not even the greatest salesperson, just because all I want to do is make the art. I don't care about selling it most of the time. So I don't make a lot of money just because I don't try and push hard on selling my glass. I'd more let it sell it nowadays and just have tons of it sitting around because I can't stop blowing glass. So that's another whole thing of it too, of like getting too stuck in like the art side or whatever, or the crafting point of it, and not the sales side of it, which I do like on purpose. Like, this is how I like. I'd rather go with less money and enjoy my time blowing glass more.
Yeah, man, I can completely respect that, 100%. Have you ever dealt with like a sales distributor kind of situation or wholesaler?
Not really.
Yeah.
Like a tiny bit. Scuba from Walton Art.
Yep.
He's taken my stuff out before and done sales for me.
Nice.
And that's just recently.
Right.
I've never worked with distributors. Also, even for like the first almost 10 years of my work, I didn't even sell to stores.
Oh, okay.
Just because there wasn't always stores close to where I was, for one thing, and I didn't do trade shows yet. And I always knew so many people and had so many different outlets with concerts and all that from already being connected in that type of area.
Yeah.
That I was able to sell all of my glass myself.
Were you doing like some lot tours and stuff with like some like following bands around?
No, I was like in Florida. I was going to appear once a week where a dead cover band that's actually pretty popular there.
Uncle John's band?
Huh?
No.
Crazy Fingers.
Okay. Yeah, I know them. I've heard them.
Yeah, they're friends. And
whereabouts in Florida were you?
Where they were playing was on the Pompano Pier.
Okay.
And I was in most of the time I was in Pompano. I was first studio I blew glass in was in Boca at Grateful Jay's.
Okay.
Of all places.
Yeah, fuck.
And so I've known Jay forever, and I used to rent booth space for a few months before I finally built my own studio there.
Nice. Yeah, he's big and was at one point pretty big and involved in the Florida smoke shop communities and stuff here. With all of our laws are getting crazy.
Yeah, he kept everything from getting shut down.
Yeah.
And I used to go and sell my glass at their show once a week, and I'd be meeting new people and stuff. And I used to also skate a lot down there, and was sponsored by a shop and all the indoor parks down there, and by getting flows product from different companies. And so I was in multiple communities all at the same time. And so I'd meet a large group of different people and be able to sell my art to all of it, because all of them had these different communities I was in had an appreciation for the glass and for art in general.
Yeah, man, that's pretty cool. That's very interesting. In terms of just the different avenues, which I think is really, I know it probably wasn't intentional. I mean, it might have been, but you're just like following, different passions. It just kind of all came together. It was like serendipitous in a sense.
It's just how it was.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun, man. Because I talk a lot on the show about the idea of not really just defining yourself as being a glassblower. It's like you want to find other avenues out there that could be a hobby. Where your glass isn't the hobby anymore, like it was at one point, but now it's just a full-time thing.
Yeah, no, I'm technically an artist, and glass is just what I can make. What comes out of my mind, come out in the exact form that I see it in my head. Like I sculpt stone and paint on canvas and work doing jewelry work, and every form of art you can do, just about I do or have done. I've actually made myself take break from everything else recently, along with playing music. But because the glass is what I can fully realize exactly what's in my head. I basically did all forms of art until I figured out what was the right one for me.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat, dude, 100%. That first blob I melted, I fell in love. Like, I knew that's what I was going to do. I'd done everything up to that point, more or less, so it's still, again, it's so important just to put your feet into lots of different waters and really see what speaks to you the most. I think it's,
definitely.
It's ideal. So it's a good transition then to fast forward, to the beginnings of, was there a point in time where you found like you had a specific look or a voice in your glass that you were going for, or that you had found? Because I know like recently, but also in the past couple of years, you've been doing these pieces that have like just are covered in these multiple sections. It's just incredible looking stuff. So up before that point, was there a thing that you had found that was kind of your voice, in like you would say like in your music or like in skating or something?
Well, in the glass, it was basically for a long time I was doing like montage line work pieces, but with sculptural additions and or organic freeform type shaping.
Okay.
But I'd be changing how I was decorating everything constantly, from making chains to making honeycomb millies, all 20 years ago, and working a lot of dichro back then. Because of how much Florida sun there is, dichro sells.
Oh yeah, I sold a lot of dichro here, 100%.
So, yeah, and So, but I was always into sculpting and making the glass look like something else as well, besides just a pipe, but still having a function.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that's smart.
yeah,
I'm
and I've always
sorry.
done every type of different style. And for years, I'd basically do a style, maybe make like 9 pieces like that, and I'd jump right onto something else because I'd be able to invent a new style just instantly, just almost every day at the torch. I could come up with something new that I could run with if I wanted to.
Yeah, just keep evolving your lines of work.
Yeah, and I never wanted to stick with any one thing for the longest time.
Hmm.
And I was known for sculpting skulls and strange organic things and stuff. Like me and Salt used to get compared to each other a lot in the past and stuff.
Nice.
Um, which, yeah, we both find as a compliment. I definitely was like, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
And but because yeah, I'd be sculpting monster heads and eyeballs and skulls and all that different types of stuff for a period of time, maybe like 11 or 12 years ago,
Okay.
maybe a little longer than that. But then just yeah, recently over the last like 4 or 5 years, I've decided to like center in on mostly one thing of the koi fish, and then uh, those pod clusters that I do,
Yeah.
which I usually only do like 1, 2 a year, maybe.
Yeah, I can see why. Good Lord. And for those
Yeah,
that don't,
there's
I'll
a
have
lot of
pictures
ways.
for you guys, links for his Instagrams and stuff, so you guys can see what we're talking about here.
Yeah, and like the largest one I did, it had like 450 pods at 4.5 pounds of glass,
Jesus.
and so that's a couple thousand welds
Yeah.
to be able to do something like that.
Yeah, man. So that's something I want to cover. Just at this point is not to give away all your secrets and stuff, but in terms of these multiple builds, like, are you running a fucking Bunsen burner, or are you just
For
being
those, I don't.
okay?
I don't use any Bunsen or anything for those type of
You're
things.
just being aware and
Um,
being conscious of the situation at hand with the heat and everything else in the process. Because that's a ton of prep
yeah,
up to that point too.
yeah. It's also just being comfortable.
Right.
I just don't worry about it. And that's probably the main thing. Like overthinking will definitely mess something like that up.
Well,
But
do you have like a plan of attack on paper before you get to that point? Kind of a strategy of how you're going to approach it.
no, they're all 100% freestyle.
Wild.
But the only thing I'm just making all my different tubing because I usually do more than one type of tubing. The one I did for Tournament of Fire is the only one that's a single colored for pods.
Okay.
And usually there it's still multiple color because I do at least 2 layers of color. Usually so I'll have a white internal or another color inside and then a second color outside. So
Yeah.
they're always double to even like 4 or 5 layers
Yeah.
of
Which
color
I
sometimes.
love that look too. They look great.
And I'll so basically it's just make pulling down all my tubing, which it'll take weeks of time of making tubing. Sometimes just doing the prep and getting things broken down and ready before I can even start making a first pod, like a week and a half at least for a larger one.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And yeah, I basically just start by slowly building up clusters basically.
Okay.
And it's about not having to weld every single one on separately, and that cuts down a lot on the possibilities of
Right.
a problem arising.
Yeah, it's kind of what I figured your approach was to build the clusters in a sense, and then assemble all those together. So really, you have multiple welds, but it's not like not worried about one pop as you're like heating up another one. I mean, you do anyways,
Yeah,
but it's more.
yeah. On some of the times, I'll like if I hear a crack, I'll usually just crash the kiln, and then I gotta find where it happened, and draw a map to it because there's no way you're going to remember and be able to find it with
Yeah.
that type of work
Yeah.
because it's everything is so difficult to keep track of on something like that, especially when it's multiple colors. So I end up having to draw a map to where the crack is, and then I'll turn the kiln back on and go and fix that, and then go back right to where I was on attaching.
Huh. Interesting.
But yeah, I mean, for just a three cluster of which I make a lot of like 3 or 5 clusters as just bases to start out, and putting those together to put on a piece. There's a dozen welds just in a 3-pack.
Right.
Because it's a stem weld at the bottom of each one, and then a lip wrap, which is pretty much a weld, and then welding the 3 together and then bridging them. And so there's a dozen welds every time I have 3 flowers.
Yeah. Interesting. Huh.
And I'm slowly putting all those together until I get larger clusters.
Yeah, it's fascinating, man. Because it's I like artwork that has a difficulty rating that's like a 13 or 14, but then when you break it down with somebody or figure out the process, it's maybe like a 5. But the perception of the difficulty is there, even though I'm not saying it's not difficult, because I know I'd have all kind of fucking issues. But
yeah, getting away with it is a whole other thing.
Yeah, totally. But you have kind of this, this illusion in a sense of this high level of difficulty, which I love.
Yeah, for me, it's a lot easier than it looks.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. How many of those like large, giant ones have you think you've done over your career?
Maybe like 5.
Yeah.
But they're all like 100% different.
Well, I remember there was one you put on Torch Talk, I think it was like 2 years ago, something like that, and you were posting the process on there, and over like 4 months or something like that. Eventually.
That was the very. Yeah, I spent 4 months. I spent a month of torch time, spread out over 4 months, because you just don't want to do that all at once.
Yeah.
And that one had like 450 pods and like 16 different tube bowls. And was 3 different types of rainbows, from a transparent to a pastel to a earth tone rainbows.
Okay.
That the piece was flowing through.
Yeah, man, it was beautiful. It was fun watching it all come together, and everybody's just like losing their fucking mind watching this thing go down.
Yeah, it's even with like making, going through breaking it down to figure out how it to be easier, which I guess with each one I've done, it's gotten slightly easier.
Mm-hmm.
There's with that much work going on, one slip up could be pretty devastating. So like that if somebody does blow glass, then they understand that, and like seeing something like that go together, it can be pretty exciting or impressive.
Yeah, man, it's a rush. I love that shit. Like this last week when I was working with this Roberto came in from Murano. This guy's like the youngest ever maestro in Italy, and he's been working with us this past week. It's the second time him visiting with the Rebus brothers at the store there that we have at Magic Kingdom. And just like we were pushing his element and going outside the box on things that he had never done before. But like we were going through an adrenaline rush. The audience watching us was going through the same thing. They're all freaking out, and when the thing's done, it's like all these emotions build up, and then you finish it and everybody fucking freaks the fuck out, in a positive way.
Yeah, that's how it is for the live competition glass blowing as well.
Yeah.
Especially for like a Masters event when things are 2 days and really large.
Yeah, man. So before we get there, at what point in time did you then decide you wanted to enter one of these competitions? Because I guess, were you doing trade shows before that, or was that like your introduction to all of it?
That was my first competition, was also my first trade show.
Cool. Okay. That's kind of what I figured.
And I randomly saw on Torch Talk, on a glasspipes.org post that there was a competition at Champs, and you could bring a piece and whatever. And it was a greenhouse competition, and it was the last Masters, like separate competition that Champs had before the glass games started up.
Okay.
Which is all they've done since then. And this was the winter show in 2011.
Okay.
So February or January in 2011. I can't remember exactly. And yeah, no, I just made a giant plant, actually a skeletal plant, which all the leaves were skeletal structures with um, plant stems coming up with skulls as a flower pot, as a seed pod on top, and some of them with brains exposed,
That's
like the
cool.
top of the head cut off. And then they had pod flowers hanging down off of that plant as well. So that was like the first time I did the pod flowers. Brought the first time I showed those in public, actually.
Wow.
But it was not. It was in a smaller format, a lot less on something.
Right.
But those ones also had a stamen inside, so they had a rod of glass that was on the inside of the cup for each one, which
Yeah,
is
man.
a whole nother level of mess with your head.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, no, that was I did not take a medal at that event, even though what I made was really nice. There's always something with judging on for personal taste.
Right.
And yeah, no, that was my first trade show as well. And
So,
then
yeah,
then the Glass Games started up that summertime show in July or August in 2011.
okay. And that's with all the individual competitions with like team building and single individuals and different rankings and levels of expertise per se.
Yeah, that's the Glass Games. Which after Maddie White had won the DFO that summer,
Mm-hmm.
Jeff from Champs approached him and had him come up with a competition and event that could be a multiple year long running event series. And so Maddie worked with other people in brainstorming and came up with the Glass Games competition, which would be an Olympic type of sort of format with the trophies and then the multiple events and people being in different events and getting a first, second, or a third. And there was, I think, 5 or 6 events that year.
Heck yeah. Yeah, it was fun. I remember when those first started. It was just fun seeing the excitement that was building amongst just the vendors and the people that were visiting, and also all the artists and stuff, and then seeing
that was
the
a big
winnings.
Part of it. Yeah, it was for doing it for the public as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and then to see where it's gone now to where it is, the size of it and stuff, and then also the other trade shows too that have picked up on it and maybe manage things a little differently or have a little bit different focus per se, But like
right.
the derby races and stuff, like all that's the slot cars, like all that stuff is it's a lot of fun. It's a unique thing for an art industry. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it definitely is. Because also it's also an odd thing to compete in art.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
When art is more of a conceptual thing that is a lot of it depends on the viewer, the person that is thinking about it and seeing it and interpreting it on their own.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what makes it strange about something that you could actually even judge. Like you can't technically judge art. So you're working more on that's all on personal taste of all the different judges, but it's all trying to judge on the actual producing of the piece of art.
Right. Yeah. Like have an unbiased technical perspective on the how things.
So it all has to be all combined together.
Right.
Because art can't be judged. Period. It's all on for everyone to interpret.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's all perception.
As in there is no bad art in reality.
Yeah.
But still, art is judged all the time by the the mainstream art community and all of that, but just in their side of it, not as in competition.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, at what point did you win your first competition there?
That's the first Glass Games.
Okay.
I took 2 medals there for what was it a team relay event with 4 people. And the 1 hour pipe.
Nice. How the relay one work? Was it like y'all had like 20 minutes of something, and then the next person jumped in on the piece or something?
No, I can't. I can't remember exactly what that event was. What Matty called it. He like commented out to me what it was last time we were in Vegas.
Okay.
Now already can't remember, but it was. We had 4 people would start blowing glass all at the same time, and every 30 minutes somebody had to stop blowing glass. 30 or 45 minutes, somebody had to stop blowing glass, turn off their torch, and they could use their hands, but not like use the torch.
Yep.
So they could help the different people, and then be an assistant basically. And then 30 minutes later, the next person would have to turn off their torch, and that first person would have to go sit down.
Interesting.
And it went down to where there was the last person blowing glass and somebody being an assistant, and that person had to go away, and the last person, and it was drawn in random on what order you go in as well.
Oh, interesting.
Which puts a whole nother wrench in different people's plans, I would say.
Were the artists
were
the artists chose, like, did you guys get to pick your team, or were they also randomly chosen?
That was pit. You pick your team, but I showed up at the competition and was only planning on doing the 1 hour pipe.
Okay.
And then a friend of mine, Flex Glass,
okay,
that I had met here in Oregon when he was visiting a friend, came up to me and was like, hey, we need a 4th person for our team. Do you want to come in? So there's 2 other people. Earl Jr. was one of them, that just needed a 4th person, and I just hopped. So I didn't. There's two people I had never met, and one person I just knew a little bit, and we all went and came up with a quick idea and got materials and started blowing glass.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Huh.
So for me, it was a mystery.
Yeah.
Until that moment.
Wild. Yeah. Then to actually have success at it too, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we took 2nd place. I think partially, Ham was a judge, and he said like part of it was just that we're all just like hanging out and having fun and whatever, just listening to music, having beers or whatever, just hanging out, blowing glass. It wasn't any weird, we weren't stressing about it. We just did it.
Huh.
And I think that's like that had an impression.
Yeah.
Also, my other piece, the 1 hour pipe, my piece had cracked on me, and I fixed the crack immediately and kept going without stopping. No worries, whatever. And that, I know for a fact that got me into the medal running because the judge was there watching that happen.
Yeah.
And I just kept going. It didn't bother me.
Huh. That's some good.
But also, I don't have any stress levels at competitions because of playing concerts and doing stage performance and acting and stuff like that. So
yeah, I understand that for sure. I know, like when which I'm sure is the same for you, you get the pre jitters, and then once you're turn your torch on, it's like boom, all that shit goes away. It's like action.
I just get anxious to blow glass because if I'm at a competition, I haven't been able to blow glass for a day or two because I'm in Vegas and my torch has been packed up, and I'm just more jonesing to blow glass. Because I blow glass every single day, period. I've taken, besides going to Vegas and not being able to blow glass for 2 days before and 2 days after, just recently, I have blown glass every single day except for one in a 5-month period.
Hell yeah.
That's all I want to do.
Yeah, so. That's understandable. So at that point, then you just got the bug. Was it the bug you got for the competitions, or was it because you had some success? They invited you back every year from that point?
No, you get when you win a medal at the Glass Games, it's the whole organization of it is set up to where you go there, and that's the qualifier event that you'll win a medal at. It's like an Olympic medal type setup.
Okay.
And first, second, or gold, silver, or bronze, and then you win an entry into the Winter Show's Masters event. That's an invite only by winning a medal. So I went back in 2012 winter for the first Masters that they did there.
Okay.
Yeah, we did public voting was for the main prize, which was an error on that first year, which was then changed to where it's judges vote is the main prize. Because you'll have it won't really show exactly what is the best piece if it's all public voting.
Yeah, for sure. Was it done through social media, or was it those that were there at the event?
No, that's there at the event
Okay.
only. And that's how champs would it had been set has gone on since then. If you have your qualifier event of the glass games, which now there's the Vegas glass games, and then there's emerging artist event in Florida that's coming up. There's Atlantic City open and blowing glass there, and now there's also a Denver one, which you bring pre-made pieces, which there's a goblet grab and a themed event, and less events for Colorado. But you have a chance going to any of these events to be able to get into the Masters. And Florida is also only for emerging artists. You have to put your name in to go to it. So it's sort of invite.
Right.
It basically just being vetted as that you're a newer artist. Like I cannot blow glass at that point.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it makes sense.
And so, yeah, then as somebody wins a medal at one of those events, some of them only the first or place, or the first or second place, I think, goes to the Masters event. In Vegas, anybody that gets a first, second, or third goes to the Masters event. And yeah, that's been going on the same since then. And I think there's only been 2 years that I haven't taken a medal at the Champs Games in Vegas.
Wow.
But that's also because I went there those times actually to do just demo. Basically, I didn't do that many events. I didn't have any plans at all, and I was more into just dealing with my booth and making sales. And I basically went to demo. I didn't actually focus on doing the competition.
Right,
Then
right.
I wasn't in the Masters for those 2 years. And then just decided that I wanted to go full in after that. And at that point, when I put my brain to it and stuff, I've taken medals at every one that I've gone to for the regular glass games.
Awesome. Do you find through the process of these competitions that it's given you a little bit of notoriety and exposure to, have a name out there in a sense, or like a brand you could build?
Yeah, it definitely has. I've also gave me the Michael Phelps of glass nickname from it.
Nice.
Because there's only 1 year of Vegas that I did get a medal that I didn't get to, and that was not the last show, but a year ago. Only got 1 medal. There's 1 year that I actually got 3 medals in all the events I entered in for the regular games, which nobody's done that for the Vegas one.
Huh.
And then but I've just recently, a month or so ago, at the most recent one, I got a gold and a silver. So I've always, once I put my mind to it, I've always taken 2 medals at least, basically from going to those events.
Yeah, because you're there competing. Like, you're not there just hanging out, but whatever. You're there.
I'm there because I have a lot of fun blowing glass in the competition, and that's what I focus on.
Yeah.
I don't focus on trying to do a booth or sales or any of that. I just focus on the glass blowing.
Nice.
And so I've got to do the Masters all those different times. So at least I've been in, I think, 6 Masters. This will be my 7th or 8th one coming up, I think. I can't remember exactly right now.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. It's so when you're doing these competitions, I was meant to ask this earlier. Are they supplying everything for you guys besides like your equipment that you bring in, like your tools and torch and stuff, like kilns, glass, everything all supplied?
No, I hold a competition that I put everything out. All you bring is your glasses. But at Champs, they set up tables for you, and they have all the oxygen and propane and all the lines and manifolds and everything, which is tens of thousands of dollars, and kilns all set up. But you have to bring all your glass, your prep, and torch and tools and all that with you.
Okay. So
And that's how all the champs events are like that.
Okay. So is that what eventually then led you into the sponsorship side of the glass competitions?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely like after my first one, the greenhouse one, I met Paul Troutman at that event and showed him a piece I made, and basically got like an immediate discount from him
Nice.
for glass right then. And then a little bit later down the line of the competitions, I asked him if he would sponsor me for these competitions and give me a free glass to do my work.
Yeah.
And he agreed, and that's been going on since. And after that, I started get contacted or would contact different companies about sponsorship and stuff, to where now I have like 7 or 8 different sponsors, and that's something I've been working on with this those sponsorships and the competitions, is to show people that they can even do that.
Yeah,
that's an option.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to bring it up, because there's, I think with the community that we have, it's so different than other art communities, and there's like this huge underlying support of those that are fans of the glass, but also those that are these companies that are selling us our materials and what have you, and they're also supporting us in that they're fans as well, or they wouldn't be doing this stuff. I mean, I'm sure some of it's money driven, but a lot of it is they're fans, they're knowledgeable of the glass world, etc. So it's I think it's cool.
And I've worked on spreading outside of that for sponsorships as well, to try and show a whole nother side of it. Like inside the glass, like I've been sponsored by TAG for 8 or 9 years now, for competitions, somewhere around 8 probably. And then I'm also sponsored by Boro Art Supply for clear and other colors besides TAG, if I need something for a competition.
Okay.
And then I've done testing and write-ups for Bethlehem and helped them with releases of torches and stuff. And so Bethlehem is basically a sponsor of mine as well. And then Blast Shield has sponsored me for competitions before, and has is going to be producing a tool I designed pretty soon. And so those are all like what say is inside the glass world. But I've been spreading out to where I have Stag Vapor Pens is a sponsor of mine, and also I have a CBD Extract Labs, that's Barrel Boys Extract Labs here in Oregon, and a CBD flower company, TKO, and a CBD drop and lotion and edible company that sponsors me, that's Koi CBD. So I've been working on going outside of those, of what are kind of in our community, but not technically. They're in the same business realm, but they're not involved in glass at all.
Right, but it's still smart, man.
Yeah, and it's about showing, that there's the options are out there. And I just work hard on promoting for these different companies and try to do a good job of promoting everyone that sponsors me.
Right. So if, like, in terms of not I don't want to like give away a lot of your stuff, but I'm just kind of curious, because I do sponsorships on this podcast, and I know artists that are out there, so I'm sure in some sense you're getting materials or something to show off for them, and then also probably some of them are paying you financially wise to support yourself as an artist, to support your traveling. Is that the case on your situation?
On some of them, on all of them, I get free products, and like basically every time I need color for a competition, I just make up a list and I get a hold of Troutman. That's how I've done it for quite a while.
Nice. Yeah.
I limit what I'm asking for. Don't over ask for anything, and even to the point where, like last show, I even just used my discount and bought what I needed for the event. And then Same with Floral Art Supply. Um, and with Blast Shield, I just got a discount from them
Cool.
for a pile of tools that I need,
Yeah.
life size discount. And then all the other CBD companies and pen companies, they just send me product, and I use those product for promoting, doing testing at different events that I go to and stuff, and we'll sell some of that product.
Okay.
Which is the same way you would do in skateboarding, of getting the product and then selling some of the product to be able to make money. And there's only been a few different sponsors and a few different times that I've asked for money from sponsorships. Because for me, like I don't necessarily always need it
Right.
for getting something done. Stuff is already figured out and planned out and stuff. But then it is definitely needed for different things as well. I've had sponsors that have paid for like my trip and stuff like that,
Yeah.
which is nice.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm kind of curious because again, there's so much support out there, inside and outside, but it's all within the industry per se.
It also depends on what the company does. If it's they're just wanting me to promote for them, but they don't necessarily have a product that I would be able to use or resell or anything like that, then it would be a solely cash sponsorship.
Yeah.
And it's all about, it's like like people have a hard time asking for any of these sponsorships or whatever. Most of them, I've just approached the company, been like, you want to do this? And it's about having the confidence that you can actually promote.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
you have that value in your promotion too.
Right, exactly, absolutely, and I think like the Instagrammers of the world that are within our industry that are successful, whether it's monetarily or through products. I mean, you see some of these girls that are getting paid to go around a smoke pot and do these shows and meets and greets and stuff. Just because they can promote and sell stuff well.
Right.
So even through your social media feed, you can go to some company that you like their product, and you can say, "Hey, but this is my following. This is what I have. This is my thing. Blah blah blah."
Yeah.
And then potentially get on board.
Right. Yeah, and I don't even have a large following. I've always been more underground.
Right.
About like a year ago, I only had like 3,500 followers or something like that. I'm at like 9.5 right now, or something like that on when it comes to Instagram and stuff. I've wasn't a whole lot real deep into that. But like a lot of my promotions is always in person because I'll do multiple concert demos every year, and I go to a lot of the events, and getting put in magazines and videos and interviews and all that when I'm mentioning these companies and promoting them. And that's a whole nother side of it. There's, even if you don't have that crazy big online presence, you still can promote properly for different companies to where it is value to them.
Yeah, people just seeing your face and doing what you do. Because like you're saying with the concerts, like back in the day, I used to do glass demos at tattoo conventions over in Tampa. And, it just kind of tied into that community. It was an art, and it was something outside of the realm of just painting on canvas or drawing pictures, as a degenerate art, quote unquote. So I think doing concert demos, I know I've done a lot of craft shows where I've done demonstrations, and that's the way to get not only people interested in what the hell you're selling, because it's like moth to the flame, but also gives you like this kind of an entertainment value to where the event will want you to come back because you're now part of the entertainment. And now you can just go out there and sell your t-shirts, quote unquote,
Yeah. For one of the these hemp expos and now a lot of these concert demos I do, we're one of the the setup is one of the main attractions put up right against the stage a lot of times, and I'm like the headlining glassblower at a lot of them, and it's it's just the same as the music band and stuff, because it is it's something that and this is more so an Oregon thing of the music being the same as the glass blowing.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I think it's cool, man. And then you see like these painters coming in, like a lot of these fun events that are going on. You get a whole realm. Got a DJ, a glass blower, you got the fucking painter, maybe some girls dance with fire. There's a niche out there for everybody within our community that can be successful at it. And success is, again, defined by each person. But you can be successful at it, whether it's spiritually or monetarily or both. It's pretty rad. But even, I think what to go along with the sponsorship side of things is that if you're going to want to promote something, you got to, in a sense, believe in it or feel good about it,
Yeah, I don't do I like also like when I decided I needed to get a raw glass sponsor for the competitions,
Mm-hmm.
For clear basically. I wanted to go as smaller, more grassroots type of business, which is Oro Art Supply, um, and they're also in Oregon, and
Right.
so that's why I worked with them, is because I had a specific company type of company that I wanted to work with, and there's plenty of other companies I could have contacted and gotten them to be my sponsor, and they would have said yes, but I was particular on who I even asked. And then other sponsorships of mine are more like kind of just accidental,
Yeah.
but they go along with what I do just perfectly. So
Yeah, it's awesome. Hell yeah! So through the competitions, like, is this something that you think you're going to continue to do? Within like the champs realm of things. Have you gone to like the Las Vegas or any of the other trade show competitions?
I've been in both. I've been in both of the Las Vegas ones. I had a that large pod cluster piece actually was in the first solo competition they had there, which is their World Series of Glass, which I'll be in it this coming January.
Heck yeah!
But I was also blowing glass in the Masters event over at Champs at the same time. So I think like I didn't get a medal because I wasn't actually there. I just came and dropped off a piece
Ah, interesting.
and was there the first night
Right.
because I was blowing glass at Champs. And then Turtle entered a collab we did for the collab event last year, which is really wonderful piece. And but I've done a lot of other competitions. I have now 17 medals from Champs, from the games and the Masters.
No shit. Yeah, hell yeah.
And then, but I have like 27 medal like awards from competitions in general. With like 3 from Tournament of Fire, and then a bunch from this top competition, and then another local competition as well. And I've been in competitions all over. But I'm working with Champs. I'm planning on I've been saving every piece I've made there, unless it was a collab with someone else. I have all the pieces that I've made at Champs, boxed up, buried away. And I'm going to be doing an art show with them after 10 years.
Nice.
And I haven't decided yet if I'll retire from Champs at that point in time or not, but time is coming quick.
Yeah, that's understandable. Do you think it's like run its course for yourself, or is just kind of?
No, I don't know what the hell I'll do with myself after the fact, because I spend all my time basically like preparing. This whole year for me has been preparing for a competition. Like I did Champs at the beginning of the year, and then Tournament of Fire in March, and then in April or May, I think it was May, I held my competition, and then just recently,
Heck yeah.
in July, I was over at Champs for the regular games. So it's like I'm almost always preparing for a competition, and that's just what my life is now, and and I'm blowing glass in between all of it. But it's such a part of me at this time. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting if I do stop.
Yeah.
Because I'm also supposed to be in a competition next month in September.
Nice.
Yeah.
So then that leads us to the Tournament of Fire, which is what got you on here, and which again wanted to bring you on anyways. But the catalyst of what we want to talk about. So the kids up at Cherry Glass started this competition a couple years back, and it was a couple rounds, and everybody met at the end. And then this year's culminated to the Masters, and you were the Grand Masters champion of that, dude. So congratulations again on the win on that thing. It was an interesting process seeing it through social media and using that as a medium now, which I think is it's smart to go about it in the way they kind of had to evolve. Even this last season, they had to kind of change some things up, towards the end of the process of what was going on.
Right.
Some artists weren't happy with some things going on, et cetera. So, I mean, overall, as a experience now where you're not in front of people, having the crowd or the audience or the pomps and circumstances and stuff, in the mindset of things, was it easier? Was it just different? Like, what was the experience like for you in terms of the competition side of things?
It wasn't really any different because I don't even pay attention to in the crowds and stuff don't bother me anyways.
Yeah.
Like when I'm doing champs or any other event out in public and stuff, I just blow glass like I'm in my shop anyways. I know a lot of people have nerves or anxiety or worries or all this stuff or get nervous while they're blowing glass at these public events, and that's one of the things that will keep you from being able to do good in those, and that's one of the reasons why I've always done good, is because of my experience in public already performing throughout my life. It doesn't bother me at all, and it's no different than any other day for me. So the only thing with the Tournament of Fire that was different was on the length of everything, because it was a month long for the qualifier of working 1 day for the first three events and 2 days for the last one, once a week. So it was a month long competition basically.
Yeah, that was part of my issue at first with it. Like once I found out the actual skill, when I got into one of the first rounds I think it was 3 years ago now. It was I think it was the first year they had done it. It was the second round of it, but I got into the first round, and then I realized that there was no way in hell with my schedule it was going to work out. So I was actually glad I didn't get past the first round, in terms of that, because I didn't want to be that guy that couldn't compete because of work.
Right.
So definitely.
And then the Masters was 7 days straight.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So yeah. So it's interesting. So did you obviously you're self-employed, so you're not worried about having to necessarily work around things, but life happens. So did you have to prepare for the time frame for all that jazz?
Not necessarily. I just just had to have my prep ready and some ideas. Really, it was more on just getting sitting down and actually getting the work done. The way I wanted to, and then once the judging for that piece has started, getting in and doing prep for the next one. So it was just, being on top of it, basically, I guess, because it was such a long competition.
Right.
You can't just get relaxed, even winning one of the rounds or whatever. You just can't get relaxed at any point. And, you got to make sure you're sort of scheduled out and know what you're going to be doing and get it all done.
Yeah, so the piece that you made, in the finals, it was that kind of a culmination of a lot of things you had been working on over the years that kind of all came together in one piece, because there's a lot going on with that one in particular.
Yeah, there was a dual uptake teardrop recycler that was hiding inside of everything. So there's one style of work, and then my pod cluster work for another, and then my koi fish for a third. So it was 3 different styles, which just looking at it, you can't even find one of them because I made a recycler that would great looking piece and could have sold just as it was, and then hid it completely and everything else.
Yeah, and that's so important, man, thinking about that. It could look amazing, but if it doesn't function properly, what's the point in a sense?
Yeah, exactly. And so I have more scientific style design I had done that hiding inside of all of that, so that it's a really great functioning piece on top of being this large decorated piece. Yeah, that was a lot of work to get done in the 6 days of glass blowing.
So something of that nature, in terms of the piece itself, I know a lot of that. A part of the competition with the Tournament of Fire is that they had a sponsor, a smoke shop sponsored the show, or each artist individually, which is fun this year to coincide with that. You know, it was like that before when I was in it. But it's a cool opportunity because it gives you a new relationship in a sense with a new shop, but also get some feedback and kind of fill them out on, you know, directions potentially, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, well, that was actually a very old connection.
Cool.
For me, Terry from Urban Legend approached me for doing the Tournament of Fire.
Nice.
And we had actually met at the first champs competition I was in, that greenhouse competition.
Okay.
And they had purchased a cyborg piece that I had made because I was doing a lot of a series of cyborgs at that period in time. So strangely enough, at my first competition is who I met that sponsored me for the Tournament of Fire competition.
Nice. That's cool as hell.
Yeah.
And
so we've been good friends for a long time and stuff. And even though I knew it was going to take a lot for me to do it, and there's all kinds of stuff I would not be able to do for a full month. I did it anyways just because of who asked me to.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing too. It's like having someone like that hopefully is going to follow through and support you, because that's what the whole point of it was, you know.
Yeah, and they have been for 8-9 years. They have been supporting me.
Right, which is awesome.
So they had already done their part.
Yeah.
But for me, it was me doing my side of it.
Yeah, just following through and getting the piece done.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's too cool, dude. So, I think it's a good point for us to take a quick break, and we'll thank some sponsors, speaking of sponsors, and then we'll come back, and it'll be time for us to crash the kiln.
Sounds good.
This episode is brought to you by Mountain Glass Arts. For the month of August 2019, Mountain Glass is offering their Boro sale. You can get 40% off Chinese rod and tube, no coupon code needed at checkout. And for all you beautiful soft glass nerds, they have their 15% off double helix glass sale. You can just use coupon code HELIX, that's HELIX, at checkout. And they also have a bunch of kiln sales right now. They have their Scarab Mini Glassmaster 33, regular priced at $29.25. Right now you can get it on sale at $21.99. That's a savings of almost $800. They also have their AIM Kiln P9 with a mercury relay, which is killer. It is a 9x9 by 10 inch, runs off of 120, which is great for the home studio. Regular price is $16.50. Right now that's on sale for $13.99. They also have some hand torches right now on sale. They have a Herbert Arnold high capacity Zenith hand torch. Normally they're priced at $36.95. Right now you can get it for $3,095. They also have their Carlisle CC ball and post mount for inlet number 3 center fire. Right now regular price is $13.36. You can get it on sale for $11.99. Save about $200 on that. And for any other questions, comments, concerns, or other sales going on, because they have weekly sales going on all the time, make sure you subscribe to their newsletter and go to mountainglass.com. That's mountainglass.com. This episode is also brought to you by the Flow Magazine. Right now, the Flow Magazine is offering all new webinar recordings and instructional videos, bringing you hours of excitement and education to your own home or studio. Popular flame working artists share techniques that will help you expand your skills and grow as an artist. Use the link in the show notes to check out the entire selection and start amplifying your art today. All right, cool, dude. We are back. So the Crash in the Kiln round consists of 7 questions. You can give me a 30 to 60 second answer if you'd like, or we can expound upon them as well. And the first question I always like to ask is if there's any living glass artist out there that you haven't worked with yet and you want to collaborate with. Who is it and why?
I guess one of them would definitely be Clinton. Okay. Clinton Roman, just because he's been a very close friend of mine for a long time, and he's one of my earlier friends that was a glass artist that was trying to get me into doing it when I was up in Eugene. So we've been friends longer than I've been working Boro, but I had lamp work before that. And we've talked about it, but these things have always, time. It's all about timing.
Right.
Especially me being so focused in the competition world now.
Yeah.
And so yeah, like definitely like Clinton, but not for what would be made or his glass style or anything, but just because he's always been such a good friend, and it's all be more about hanging out for me.
Yeah, yeah. Heck yeah. He's awesome. Super talented. Been a fan of his
Yeah, he's an
forever.
amazing. Yeah, he's an amazing artist. One of the most talented, uh, Boley pipe lampworkers, period,
Yeah.
and always has been.
Hell yeah. Number 2 question. What are your top 5 favorite colors in glass?
It's kind of hard.
Yeah.
Um, well, I use a lot of Troutman color, obviously, and I really like the orange Elvis. I use that a lot. I use that with my koi fish over top of white. Um, so that would definitely be in there.
Okay.
And I use a lot of blackjack, which is their sable brown based black, which is technically a transparent.
Yeah.
But will hold a full deep black once it's in, when it's in its thicker form and worked right. So it actually flows differently than other blacks, and works with other transparent colors a lot better.
Yeah, I like that color.
And have less issues
Yeah,
because
it's a
of
little.
that.
It's
And
not.
it's also a warm tone black compared to a cool tone black, like a jet black or other purple blue based blacks.
Oh, I never thought of it that way, but that makes total sense. Yeah, it makes sense.
And the color, yeah, in the color palette, they are cool and warm even in black, because black is the excess of all colors, when white is the absence. Because of that, where it leans more towards in whatever realm of colors, we'll put it in its temperature field.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I'd say probably oil slick. I use a lot of oil slick for all my wood grains and my grouts that I make. So I really like that color a lot. Really hard to go for a grouping. Most of that, I mean, because that's also right there. Those colors there are the majority of what I work. I really do like whiteout.
Yeah.
Or star white. All the whites. I use it quite a bit of. I really like using that as my base layer for everything. And tropical green from Tag is a color I like a lot, which I kind of I helped Paul with when sea slime and blue slime were coming out. I did a lot of color testing with them and was messing with all these different variations of it before they came to their final ones. And one of them was very similar to what the tropical green is. I kind of wanted to call it Submariner, but it came out as tropical green for the name. But it's basically just one of the transparent versions of their sea slime.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, that's one, and probably my fifth one, probably right there. Which what are more of my favorite colors are actually pretty simple, but I'm more about what is done with the glass a lot of times and what color it is.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Number 3 question is, what is your worst injury in the studio?
Probably about like 4 or 5 months into working, I had a rod break in my my hand slip into the large flame on a CC plus, my first torch, and I got a second degree glove burn on the entire inside of my palm. And but I just like filled up a latex glove with burn gel and put it on and kept blowing glass for 6 hours because I was paying shop rent. at the space I was at and early on, and so I needed to get some work done because I knew there would be a period of time I wouldn't be able to work afterwards.
Yeah, smart.
So I kept working because there was no pain. I killed all the nerves, so there wasn't any pain in that, and I knew I wouldn't be in pain until the end of the day or the next day. So I just kept working.
Yeah, man. Been there, but not that bad, but I've been there.
Yeah, most people have not had as bad of a burn in lamp working as I have.
Yeah, sounds terrible.
A good 95%. It's probably one of the worst burns in lamp working history.
Jesus.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah. How long did it take you to recover?
I don't remember now.
Yeah. Probably a good thing.
Yeah, it wasn't a long time, and I had to take a 2 or 3 year break from glass from an injury, but not from glass blowing, from a knife slipping during sharpening and slicing my wrist open really deep.
Whoa.
And then also I just had my daughter was recently born. She was an infant at that point in time, and I stopped blowing glass for 2.5 years maybe to concentrate on making sure my daughter was taken care of, doing other type of work.
Yeah.
And getting my because I cut into the muscle and tendon some, and getting my hand to go back to full dexterity the way it was.
Man, yeah, look at you now.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. Perseverance.
Yeah, when I came back in, that's where I went to. After 6 months of coming back in is when I went to the first competition.
Okay, wild. Huh? It's a good way to break back in.
Yeah, so then I've been stuck in that mode since.
It sounds like it. That's so funny. If you could describe the sound of glass cracking in one word, whether it's emotional sensation it gives you or the actual sound that it creates, what would that be?
Ouch, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. When you're in the studio, do you watch TV or listen to the radio, or do you do both?
It goes back and forth. I know I did at least 10 or 15 years of just radio and CDs and whatever playing, and that just gets a little bit old.
Yeah.
After time. You kind of got to switch it up. So I'd have had a TV on my bench and would have movies playing of some kind while I was blowing glass and not really paying attention, but then playing. And then now I have I'll be running having a podcast playing when I'm first blowing glass or early morning, the 9 Club, which is a skateboard podcast, or it's on YouTube as well, or Joe Rogan Experience, and be listening to those, and then after a certain period of time I'll shut them off and just turn on music and blow glass.
Nice.
It seems like the conversation and slightly learning something at the same time kind of is good in the morning for the initial go and everything.
Yeah, man, it sounds like what I do too. Same things. Listen to podcasts to start my day off with. Get your little schooling and education and your brain kind of warmed up for the day, and then kind of get the party at night and get the drive going.
Right. Totally.
Yeah, it's smart. Last question is, what are your top 5 favorite tools?
I use a K-bar hunting knife for sculpting.
Okay.
And that's probably one of the most used tools I have. And then I've always also been known for using a butter knife.
Yeah.
Forever. I think everybody does, but I switched up most of my sculpting being a hunting knife.
Okay.
And yeah, one of the leather handled K-bars. And then I don't know. I really like my marbler that Blast Shield made me. It's a little bit different dimensions than a lot of them. It has a flip up side plate, so it puts out a half box.
Nice.
And a tool I just had them make is I have a break off tool that I use their torch mount that is adjustable up and down and in and out from the bench,
Okay.
which is also used for putting a torch on a lathe. And so this tool slides onto the main bar that the torch is mounted to on this. But it's basically just a large steel wedge for cracking glass off. So it's a breaking tool that'll have my name on it.
Okay.
And then that will be released soon.
Nice.
That I did partially for competitions to speed things up of popping off heavier sealed punning attachments or breaking and have like large neck down pieces of solid and different stuff, because you see so many people beating on their marbling pad or on their torch, even worse, or on hitting the glass on all kinds of things or with things. So which just isn't the best way to go and stuff. So I designed a tool that's specifically made for that. Hopefully to save some torches' lives.
Right.
Some crazy people who like to beat up their torch.
Yeah. Especially like GTTs, it's like the worst thing you can do.
Right, which I got when I came back into glass blowing, I had sold all my equipment and I got a hold of my torch from someone else, and it has dents in it from that person doing that exact thing.
Yeah. No bueno.
Yeah.
So let's see, we got 3 tools. I got 2 more for you.
Let's see. I don't know. I use just a pair of I like to use my scissors a lot, and just smaller point scissors.
Okay.
Really nice to have. That aren't even designed for glass blowing. But I use them a lot when I'm making my koi fish.
Yeah.
And then really hard to say. I don't really need a lot of tools to do what I do. Like one I would use a lot would be just my Black Shield paddle.
Okay.
But I guess I really enjoy the Sharp Flame hand torch from Bethlehem. I can put that in there as a tool.
Yeah, definitely.
It's separate from my main torch. But there's cut-off techniques on these larger pieces I do and things I do in competition that I would not be able to do without it. It's just the range of flame size and the amount of heat it's going to put out on this larger flame size just makes it pretty invaluable to me right now.
Nice. Yeah, man, once I added a hand torch to my repertoire, it was life-changing.
Yeah, I have 3. And yeah, it really does. It is nice to have around.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot, definitely without having a Smith torch with one of the Blast Shield 5-hole heads on it, I wouldn't be able to do those pod clusters without something going wrong.
Right. Yeah. Some tight welds.
Yeah.
That is for sure. Well, awesome, brother. It was good, again, having you on. I'm glad we got to finally make this happen and share your journey. Definitely inspiring, I think, on a lot of ends of just not only as a glass blower, but just the idea of, again, not pigeonholing yourself as just being a glass blower, If you're an artist or however you want to express yourself, find things outside of the studio that you can do.
Not even limiting yourself on what exactly you're making.
Yeah, exactly.
I've only now decided to keep the koi fish going as a series, like for the last 4 years, but I had never done the same thing for more than 7 or 9 times before that. And that, one reason that I'm able to do well in these competitions or do whatever I want in glass is because I have done everything.
Yeah, man, being versatile is so important. There's a lot of, we always kind of laugh on here, but the newer pipe makers that can make some amazing scientifically tight shit, but they can't push a bowl on a spoon to save their life. It's like
right, and it's a one hit type of thing that comes up, and if you only do one thing, you're never going to actually find your voice if you want to do art.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to do all different types of stuff to actually find out what is who you are in art. And it's also, and for me, it's a lot about being original. I don't copy anybody's anything. I have been copied a good amount. And when I do, I just stop making whatever was copied.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And Which I don't also on those things, I don't consider it copying because it was part of the evolution of lamp working in our community. There's like so many people that started up a certain technique or a certain shape or something like that is now a standard in lamp working.
Yeah.
But it's about being original and coming up with something fresh. That's another thing that somebody that could do some scientific piece really clean and nice and stuff, but like a lot of them, like whatever, say like the ball rigs, a lot of people like making these ball rigs and stuff, but it's just something that the guys over at Mothership came up with, and now it's just a regular piece.
Yeah, exactly. We laugh about the rigs
it's a spoon.
Yeah, that's what we say. I was going to say the same thing. The rig's the
Same
new
with
spoon.
the Klein. Yeah, the same with the Klein, even though Quaid doesn't like that a lot of people do his Kleins and stuff and keep it going. He made a design that is functional and that people like, and it the same as the spoon, the hammer bubbler, the doer bub, the steamroller, all these different things that have evolved through the years. Those are, that's a base form like a bowl or a cup to any other furnace worker.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just a mug, is what I is how I put it. So it's like I try to not make mugs.
Yeah, exactly. Make art, have fun with it.
Yeah, definitely.
Hell yeah.
And there's always something new and original that you can do. All you got to do is play around with the glass or draw some pictures or something. Even if you use a portion, even whatever, like 10% of someone else's, thoughts on the shape, you modify that rest of it, and just keep going at that and modifying it, and you will end up with something original in the long run from it, that no one else, in horror lamp working has done.
Yeah, exactly.
It's about not giving up.
Yeah. I had a guy. I always say, I think it was Joe Scar that said it, but the quote was to imitate until you can innovate. And it's just how you should be. Eventually, you figure something out.
Yeah, and there's also the quote of a good art, good artist borrow and a great artist steal. So it is about for a lot of things looking at what else is being done and utilizing what has been done. Because there's no way for anything to go forward if you're not utilizing what has been done.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That's where the future comes from. But you always want to strive to make that yours.
Yeah, it's like not reinventing the wheel, but it's making the wheel better with your voice.
Yeah. No, you could totally reinvent the wheel. There's lots of ways. You can just make it as a sphere.
Yeah, true.
The vehicle will still roll.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. But it's still a wheel. So you had to get that idea from somewhere.
Yeah.
From the first person who ever made something roll, some caveman with a push cart.
Yep. Yep. A pipe's a pipe, no matter what the hell it looks like.
Exactly.
Hell yeah, dude. So before we let you go here, if you want to tell us all where we can find you out there in the world of cyberspace, and then also give us a parting piece of advice, even though you just gave a ton of advice, but anything else specific?
Well, I guess on Instagram, I can be found as Glass Art by Shaggy. And on Facebook, it's under John Boley, Boley. And then I also have a business page on Facebook, which is where all my Instagram gets ported over to, since I don't use my regular Facebook page that often. And that's Dreamstones Art by Shaggy.
Nice. Yeah, I'll have all those links in the show notes for everybody, as well as all the links from stuff we talked about through the episode. But yeah, man, and then any parting piece of advice?
Go do a competition.
Hell yeah.
It's going to teach you a lot about your glass blowing. either push you up or humble you, one of the two, and both of them are good.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that's well said. Hell yeah, brother. Well, hope you all enjoyed this conversation and were inspired to go out there and find some action in your life with the glass and compete and show the world what you're about, and also learn a lot of shit along the way and take advantage too of being exposed to the trade shows, and you can kind of get the ins and outs of what's going on there, as well as exposed to the competition side of things. So I'll make sure I have all the links for all this stuff in the show notes for everybody, and until next time, we'll talk to you on the next episode. Take it easy. Peace.